Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be giving you an update to the information that we talked about the other day regarding the upcoming theme of a Grand Theft Auto Online DLC. So to give you guys the long story short, basically it was found that within the tunables of the game, Rockstar can enable these special vehicles to be added to the content creator. So like the Ruiner 2000, the Ramp Buggy, the Phantom Wedge, that can all be added to the content creator. Thus, it was looking like that something like special vehicle races could be not only created by Rockstar, but also everyone in the community, making it very similar to Cunning Stunts. Thus, I kind of made the prediction that it was like a hybrid of import-export and Cunning Stunts. And there was a lot of other information we talked about in that video, like when it could possibly be coming out, would we see other types of special warehouses? How would the races work themselves? I'll leave a link to that in the description. That's going to cover more of the information that I touched on then, but we've got some new information to discuss now. Some new details have arisen, and we also need to clarify a couple things that have been going on as well. So the first thing that we need to note is that the ability for Rockstar to do something like this is already in the game, which kind of makes me skeptical that if this does become a thing, it might not necessarily require a new DLC or something we actually physically have to download. So we have two quotes. This first one comes from Bender, and he says, if I had to take a guess, I'd say that we'll also be able to create our own special vehicle races in the creator, which we talked about a couple days ago. He said tunable scripts were found for this, but they are not activated for the moment. So the scripts are in the game, however, all of them are just set to off. So that begs the question, why would Rockstar even add a script like that if they had no intentions of flipping them on? That would be like putting a light switch in your house, but then never using it. What would be the point of even setting up the light switch? And FunMW2 follows up with that by saying that they can enable special vehicles in the Race Deathmatch Capture LTS creator via tunables, the last part of locked content. Not sure if they're going to enable it before the release of the new update, probably March. So there's a couple things with this. Number one is that it looks like it almost could be more than just special vehicle races. It could be special vehicle death matches or special vehicle captures or special vehicle last team standings, which is kind of cool. And that's where we get a little bit more uniqueness from Cunning Stunts, which was obviously all about racing and didn't really have any deathmatch or capture elements to that there. And then he also states it's the last part of the import-export locked content. We all thought that the Spectre was the last bit of locked content, but it turns out that this is. So this kind of, once again, begs the question, do Rockstar even need to add a new update into the game in order to get this into the content creator? And it looks as if they don't. So when March rolls around, and that's when a lot of people are guessing the new update is going to be, would it be one that Rockstar doesn't even have to make us download new content? It's just added into the game via tunables. That's something very, very interesting right there. So I saw this a lot in the comment section of my first video. A lot of people were asking, where all of a sudden did this talk of death races and Carmageddon and Twisted Metal come from? Are we just blindly guessing that this is going to happen, or is there information to back this up? And FunMW2 says special vehicles can be added to the creator anytime via tunables, which we've known. Someone thinks this would mean the next update would be centered around special vehicle races. Other than that, we don't have any information about the next update. And that's basically it right there, because it's just common sense. Again, it goes back to the light switch thing I talked about earlier. Why would Rockstar have an on-off option if they never planned to turn it on? If they were always going to be off, why even have that in the game as an option to change? So I know that might be a little bit confusing, but honestly, that right there is probably the best logic I have for explaining what and why the next update is looking like to be special vehicle races. And speaking of the next update, Rockstar have been pretty busy as well themselves. This comes from FunMW2. He says they have updated QA beta. It's Depot 271.594, and that's been updated, which means it's a new update. So that line right there directly affects update.rpf. However, he says, don't get yourself hyped. They did it 2 weeks or 1 week ago and rolled it back, and surprise, surprise, it's just a launcher update. However, this one makes sense. Usually this means the update should be released within 2 weeks. They have to update the game in order to stop the character transfer. So FunMW2 is saying Rockstar is working on a new update. However, that update might not necessarily be for new DLC content, but is going to be for whatever is coming out on March 6th, and that's going to be, the date where the character transfer ends, which I believe is only like 11 days away. Keep in mind, February is a short month. It's only 28 days long. So March 6th is going to approach on us really quickly, and it does end up looking like that's what Rockstar is working on. Now, I don't know if anything else is going to come with the stopping of this character transfer, but it is interesting to note that Rockstar have to physically update the game in order to stop the character transfer feature. That right there is pretty interesting. I had no idea that was a thing. I just thought they could turn that off via tunables or something like that. And he also goes to clarify on Twitter by saying they've updated the same depot 271594, and that's for update RPF, something they don't have to update if it's just a launcher update. And those have been those like tiny, mysterious 90 megabyte updates that you've been seeing on GTA 5's version of the PC over the last couple weeks. So this one is not something like that. We've got some more information from FunMW2, who says, speaking of this FMMC adversary mode DR, which he thought meant death race, but it doesn't since he found new information. So new in-game text added with import export says DR_CNIC. The transmitter you are looking for is not in this container. And then another line of code H1 that says press input context to examine the container. And then H2 that says you found the transmitter. And he says after looking around, it uses the animation, which is that right there, and assigns a team pickup case, etc., etc. In other words, it's another capture adversary mode. So unfortunately, with all this talk of like Death Race and Carmageddon and Twisted Metal and all these other cool Mad Max style, special vehicle stunt ideas that people have, it looks as if Rockstar are still focused on their adversary mode. And unfortunately, this Death Race style game mode just looks to be another capture adversary mode. I don't know. What do you guys think of the adversary modes? Rockstar seem to be obsessed with them because they add them left and right. And even the old ones, they're updating with new maps, which I believe is just completely crazy. Now, another thing I heard in the comment section of my other video is, will Rockstar be adding new special vehicles? And I even talked about that as well. Would they be adding new ones? However, Yan believes that that's not going to be the case. He says, by the way, when I say new special vehicles, I'm talking about the new ones we already have, since I still consider them new, not actual new ones. He's talking about the 8 we already have in import-export. And that's kind of what I believed as well, because the warehouse we have underground is full. Like, there's no other room to put any other vehicles. So unless Rockstar expanded that or allowed us to have a second vehicle warehouse that had like another 8 vehicles, which I would kind of highly doubt at this point, I'm thinking that these special vehicle races, if they do happen in online, are just going to be with the 8 that we already have in the game right now. Okay, moving on. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is an interesting pattern found by someone on the GTA forums, Zyled. So it's a very interesting pattern of how many days have gone by since each update. So from Lowriders Customs Classics to Finance and Felony, it was 84 days. From Finance and Felony to Cunning Stunts, it was 35 days. Cunning Stunts to Bikers, it was 84 days. Bikers to Import-Export, it was 70 days. And if something happens on March 7th, that would be 84 days from Import-Export. So the pattern so far has been 84, 35, 84, 70, 84. So it seems as if every other update happens 84 days after another. And that would mean that, like I said, if something came out on March 7th, that would complete the pattern. So I know that can be a little bit of tinfoil hat there. And it is actually kind of funny because his icon is the Truth, who is a conspiracy theorist in GTA San Andreas. So that is actually kind of interesting right there. But it will be crazy to see if that does happen and if we get a new DLC on March 7th, because that would mean that pattern has been like right in front of our eyes this whole time, and I don't think anyone else had picked up on that, so that's pretty crazy. But bottom line, I'd like to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. What's your opinion of special vehicle races? Now, this might not be the most popular opinion, but I don't think I love the idea of special vehicle races. For me, it's a little bit of a waste, especially given the potential we have in this game. I mean, there's so many other themes that Rockstar haven't done yet that I kind of wish they would include those, because I feel like this is just kind of an extension of import-export. Now, I think it would be great if Rockstar added them into the creator so people could create some fun races and death matches and stuff, but I don't think I want an entire DLC centered around special vehicle races, especially given the fact that we did so much of them in import-export. Not necessarily races, but using the vehicles, and I just think at this point it would be a little bit overkill. So hope Rockstar would explore another theme that includes new vehicles, weapons, than just races with vehicles that we've already had in the game. But like I said, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys there. If you guys did go on to enjoy the video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.